DRC. Speculation that the president could seek a third term sends opposition protesters onto the streets. Will Joseph Kabila abide by the constitution and stand down, or could political turmoil return to the DRC? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Fuli Batibo. The main opposition party in the Democratic Republic of Congo says President Joseph Kabila is trying to delay presidential elections in a bid to hang on to power. The elections are scheduled for the end of 2016, and Kabila, who's been in power since 2001, isn't allowed to run. But that hasn't stopped intense speculation he's maneuvering to extend his presidency beyond a second term. And now a coalition of opposition parties have taken to the streets of the capital, Kinshasa, to demand Kabila respects the constitution. Al Jazeera's Harun Mutasa helped set things up for us from the protests in Kinshasa.
You see all those different flags up there, the different colors. They represent most of the opposition parties in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they say they have one message to President Kabila. They say they are concerned that he may try to hang on to power when his mandate ends. According to the constitution, he can't run for a third term, and they're concerned he will try and do that come the end of next year. So they're gathering here in this open field in the capital Kinshasa, wanting to be heard, insisting that he should leave office when the time comes.
I don't like this President Kabila to continue this mandat. So I say that she can go. Yeah, I don't like Kabila for this country.
The main thing is a presidential election. It's going to take place at the end of next year, 2016. Opposition members say there are signs that they could be delayed. The first sign being the government came out and said he doesn't have money to hold local, provincial and the presidential election. And the court told the Electoral Commission that they should come up with new dates for these elections because the time frame isn't there and the money isn't there. What does that mean? People are concerned that means Kabila will try and stay in power longer than it's meant to, and they're also concerned that it means opposition supporters will come out the streets and protest those who don't want him to stay in power, and that means the country could descend into chaos, into violence. Harun Mutasa reporting for Inside Story.
Well, Joseph Kabila was only 29 when he took power after his father, Laurent Désiré Kabila, was assassinated in 2001. Under his leadership, the DRC has emerged from its worst years of civil war, with Kabila trying to end impunity for atrocities in the eastern part of the country. The DRC also held its first democratic elections in 2006, which Kabila won. Now, if he chooses to abide by the constitution, he'd become the first Congolese president to step down in a peaceful transfer of power. If not, some fear a return to violence. Well, joining us for today's discussion on Inside Story in London, we have Theo Ngombo, who is the representative of the opposition UDPS in the UK. In Washington, D.C., we have Ambassador Herman Cohen, a former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs. And I'd like to say that we tried to reach out to members of the ruling party and supporters of President Kabila, but they were not able to take part in today's discussion. Ambassador Cohen, Mr. Ngombo, thank you both for being on Inside Story today. If I may begin with you, Theo Ngombo in London. President Kabila has yet to publicly state whether or not he'll run in 2016. Why do you, the opposition, believe that he wants to extend his presidency?
We, as an opposition party, we are asking Mr. Kabila to come up clearly and announce that he will not sit a third time in office, because he has been quiet for a long time. Regardless of what we are asking him to do, he doesn't want to come up. He's trying to maneuver his way up so he can stay in power behind 2016.
When you say he's trying to maneuver his way out or way up, as you say, what precisely is he doing? What are these maneuvers?
Recently, the government, Congolese government, said that there is no money for the election. He came up with the division or the creation of new 15 provinces to to make it 26. So all of those maneuver is showing that they are not ready, and the National Electoral Independent Commission say that they don't have money and they can't organize the election. The timetable given up by the CENI brings that we have to start with local elections with the biggest country in Africa, the DRC. We can't see how the government can give the money for those local elections to be organized, so the presidential and parliamentarian election be held on September 2016. Those things, if we look at the electoral process, the younger people who were 13 on 2011, now they are up to register for votes, but they don't want to register them. All those things is just the maneuver they are trying to do for them to buy time so we can go over 2016. That's why we don't want that.
Okay. You talk about the CENI, which, just to explain to our viewers, is the Independent Electoral Commission in the DRC. Let me bring in Ambassador Cohen now in Washington, D.C. Ambassador, of course, this is a country that you know very well. You've written extensively about the DRC and the politics of the DRC. What is your gut feeling today? Do you get a sense, like the opposition, that Kabila is maneuvering to try to hang on to power today?
Absolutely. Earlier in the year, Kabila suggested that there be a referendum to write a new constitution which would eliminate the two-term limit. Clearly, he wants to stay on. So since this resulted in street demonstrations and violence, he's stopped the idea of a referendum. So now what they're doing is creating all sorts of new elections, saying that they have no money in order to delay the election. This is known as slippage. In other words, we're not going to run again, but we're just going to delay and stay in power as long as possible.
But they have said, though, that elections will take place at the end of 2016. This is something they're adamant about today.
No, they're saying it, but they won't be able to achieve it. If they do not fund the local elections, they will not be able to have any election. What they should be doing now is just preparing for the presidential election. They have to register the new voters, as Mr. Ngombo has stated. They have to get all the voter cards out. It is not too late now. It is not too early now to start for the November election. But they're putting all of these other impediments, such as there are thousands of jurisdictions in the Congo. If they held local elections, it would take 3 years to complete those. So everything is pointing in the direction of delay, delay, delay.
Mr. Ngombo, President Kabila has proposed a national dialogue to iron out all these electoral issues. But you, the opposition, decided just a few weeks ago to break off those talks, to pull out of those talks and not be involved anymore with the ruling party. Why is that? Why did you decide to stop this dialogue?
The dialogue was suggested by the UN Security Council, not by President Kabila, on beginning of 2013, which they called Accord d'Addis Abeba. So we, as a political party, we put a fade route, a roadmap
yes.
to that dialogue. So few weeks ago, we started the pre-dialogue. Our people and Kabila people met for the first time in Italy and the second time in Spain. During those time, I think there was a progress, but when they came for the second time, they came to block the situation. We couldn't look at it and sit down and say that to accompany them on what they are doing. No, we put a stop. We say that we can't go on because they want us to hang on power, to share the power, to create a new national government, which we don't want to participate.
But were there specific issues that were discussed during this dialogue? Were there specific issues that arose during this dialogue? Beyond, you just saying that you have the feeling they want to hang on to power. Did something happen that broke off the talks?
of course, they come up with stuff which we find that we can't buy them.
Such
they want,
as
us to go over than 2016, to the election to be organized after that time. Congolese people doesn't like that. They don't want that. They want Kabila to step out of the power by the 2016. There's still a time, nearly a year, for us to sit down, to look at those issues which are difficult, which are dividing the country, to try to find a solution on them so we can organize the elections together. There is election which cannot be organized, like the local one. We can't organize them. The country is too huge, too big. So we have to decide on election to be organized. For us, we say that we have to organize just the presidential and the parliamentarian election in September 2016.
Okay.
That's our position. Is very clear. We put it clear to them. They don't want that.
Theo Ngombo, Ambassador Cohen, says that the Congolese people want Kabila out. Is that true, though? I mean, he did have a lot of support in 2006 and 2011, even though it was a controversial election in 2011.
2011.
Right. In 2011, it was controversial because the opposition leader, Etienne Tshisekedi, is thought to have won. But he did have support in 2006. Is public opinion today against him in the DRC, as the opposition claims, or does he still have a lot of supports in various parts of the country?
No, I think he's lost all his support. His main support came from the Katanga province, where he is from, and also from Kivu province. Well, all of that support is gone, and as evidence for that, there were 7 parties that were not part of his group, that were part of his group in parliament supporting him. All of these 7 parties have now decided to abandon Kabila. There is no more coalition or presidential coalition in the parliament. And remember, in 2011, which was a fraudulent election, Kabila won with only 36%. And all of the support that he had in the Swahili-speaking provinces of Kivu and Katanga, all of that is melted away. He really has zero support right now.
To what extent has the internal political situation affected what you're saying? I mean, how has it changed? How has the internal political situation changed since 2006 when Kabila first won the elections?
Well, I'll explain that. You know, the copper production in the Congo has been the highest in history. 1 million tons per year at a price of $10,000 a ton. That is the equivalent of 500,000 barrels of oil per day. And where has that revenue gone? That revenue has disappeared. Only 20% of the revenue is turning up in the budget. So Kabila cannot point to any improvements in the standard of living of the people. The only improvements have come from Chinese building roads and other infrastructure. But there's nothing been done for the Congolese people. So the people are saying, where's my electricity? Where's my water?
There have been accomplishments, though, Ambassador Cohen. You have to agree. I mean, under his leadership, Congo, DRC has emerged from, some of the dark years of the war, even though the situation is still unstable in the east. I mean, he has brought the first democratic elections in 2006, as we said. It might be a mixed record, but you have to agree that he has accomplished a few things, hasn't he?
Well, the end of the war was fine, but, the instability in the East, as you mentioned, continues. Women are continually being raped. Militias are roaming all over the North Kivu and in Bunia, and there is no peace in the East. Minerals are being stolen and trafficked through Rwanda and Uganda, but basically the people are seeing no improvement in their standard of living, and the government is not spending any money for good works for the people. So no wonder they want change.
Okay. Mr. Ngombo, in London, if, as you say, and I think you agree with Ambassador Cohen, that the people of the DRC want change today, what is the opposition offering them then? I mean, we have a very fluid opposition today. The main opposition leader, Etienne Tshisekedi, has been in Belgium since last year. The opposition parties seem disorganized. I want to know what the plan is for the opposition if it were to be in power today, if Kabila were not to hang on to power in 2016. What is the opposition offering the people of Congo?
Our political party, the UDPS, which is led by Mr. Tshisekedi, we are well organized. As we won the election in 2011, we are ready to go and face the people to be elected as a political party to lead the country from 2016. We have got the backing of other political party, the opposition, who are backing the UDPS for us to go ahead and try to change the life of Congolese people. They have suffered since 1998, even prior to that, by the Mobutu regime, and then the AFDEL regime. Kabila is now in power. He hasn't done anything for the Congolese people. All he have improved is his own bank account and his people bank account.
Right.
But the UDPS
again, besides criticizing,
the challenge.
Yeah, besides criticizing Kabila's record and saying that he has done nothing for the Congolese people, what are you offering? What are you going to do for the Congolese people?
We will improve the way of living of Congolese people by creating new jobs. We will